Come on. Do I sound like I'm joking? Do I sound like I'm playing? When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
Once again, we are on. I am the Mojo King. Mike Steph will be with us shortly. This is Hidden Gems Football, brought to you by the mighty 19 Media Group. We finally made it, the final episode of the regular season. In this episode, we will be focusing on the NFC. If you want AFC information, just check on the YouTube page. The previous episode, we were talking about the important AFC games for this final Week 18 of the NFL regular season. Lastly, at some point in this episode, I will talk about Survivor. If you happen to still be alive, good job. I have a couple of teams that are making it to this last week, and we hope to bring home some money. But forget all that for now. Let's jump into the key games of this week for the NFC. Game 1. The 4-12 Carolina Panthers are heading to Atlanta to face the 8-8 Falcons. The Falcons are 7.5-point favorites, and the projected total is 47.5 points. I love when they let me do easy math like this. The Carolina Panthers are expected to score 20, while the Atlanta Falcons are expected to score 27.5. As far as injuries, Carolina has a huge one. Chuba Hubbard is out for the season after having a very good season, as any fantasy player would tell you. Raheem Blackshear was the lead running back last week, and I assume he will be that again this week. Also, Xavier Legette has a hip injury, but he's been playing through it. He probably will play this week. On Atlanta's side, as far as injuries, both of their starting wide receivers were limited in practice. Drake London because of a knee injury, Darnell Mooney because of a shoulder injury. I believe Mooney's been playing through the shoulder injury, so I feel like he will be safe to play in this crucial game. Drake London will have to see closer to action, but again, this game is so important that if he can suit up, I'm sure he will. This game is crucial for the Falcons. They must win, plus a Tampa Bay loss for the Falcons to win the division and to sneak in the playoffs. They need both to happen. They must win, and Tampa Bay must lose. Mike Steph, who you got, Carolina or Atlanta?
The first game on the docket is the Carolina Panthers visiting the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons are favored by 8.5 points, and the over-under for this game is 48. I will start on the Panther side of the docket. The Carolina Panthers have just one more game on the schedule. The Atlanta Falcons need a win to ensure they don't fall into that same boat. This is a key matchup for Atlanta, but it's not for Carolina. In fact, a loss might be best since it should help their draft stock. Carolina has an opportunity to play spoiler in Week 18, as a win would knock the Atlanta Falcons out the playoff mix. However, the absence of running back Chuba Hubbard, in combination with the worst defense in the NFL, does not bode well for Carolina. On top of that, the last time these two sides met, Atlanta rushed for 198 yards, their best output on the ground this season, and a slight case of optimism does exist, given Carolina's recent offensive improvements and the fact that they've covered 4 of the past 6 games. Now, when we're talking about the Falcons, I'm going to do something very unorthodox because I can't talk about this team with a straight face. The Atlanta Falcons still have a slim path to the playoffs, but a path nevertheless. After losing to the Washington Commanders in Week 17, paired with a Tampa Bay Buccaneers victory, the Falcons fell out of the top spot in the NFC South and out of a current playoff position. Before last week, Atlanta had a 54% chance to clinch a postseason berth, according to NFL.com. but that percentage has fallen down to just 11%. To beat the odds, the Falcons would need to win their regular season finale against the Carolina Panthers, and the Bucs would have to lose against the New Orleans Saints at home. Yes, that means the Falcons would be effectively rooting for the Saints. Both games kick off at 1 p.m. And even though they've looked better since the change at quarterback, it might be too little too late. It makes you wonder why they didn't pull the trigger earlier on bringing Michael Penix in. Now, picks. Yeah. That's how much respect I give Atlanta. I just won't laugh dead in their face. Atlanta is favored by 8.5 points. The rookies look nice, but is he 8.5 points better? I don't think so. So I'm going to go Carolina because it'd just be something that the Atlanta Falcons would do and cough up already a monumental collapse. So I'm going to go with Carolina plus the 8.5. The over-under, I'm going to go under. Yeah, little fat. I love you, but that's my last bit of salt in the wound.
Look, Carolina has not been great, even with Bryce Young's improved play. They still are 1-5 in their last 6, and they're 1-6 on the road for the season. They also rank 32nd in offense and 32nd in defense. They are the worst team in the league. Meanwhile, Atlanta was struggling, so they switched quarterbacks to Michael Penix. In his 2 games, he's thrown for 425 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Not that impressive numbers. They've gone 1-1 in those 2 starts, defeating the Giants, losing to the Commanders. In that Commanders game, Washington had 4 turnovers and still figured out a way to win. Quite frankly, I don't think this Atlanta team is that great, but I do know the Panthers are not great at all. Still, with Bryce Young's improved play, I think that they can keep it close as long as he doesn't turn it over. So I will take the Panthers plus the 7.5 points. As far as the over-under, I think this game is going under.
We're talking things that make you blush, but trust us, it's a must. From awkward to taboo, we're here to guide you through. It don't matter if you're a bit of a prude, it's a Prude Awakening.
All right, let's move to the second game. The 5-11 New Orleans Saints head to Tampa Bay to face the 9-7 Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are leading their division. If they win or if Atlanta loses, they are in the playoffs. And Tampa Bay is a 13.5 point favorite in this game. The projected total is 43.5 points. That means Vegas is telling us they expect the New Orleans Saints to score 15, while the Buccaneers score 28.5. As far as injuries, the Saints have a list of them. Alvin Kamara with the groin injury did not practice this week. He is questionable to play. Why would he? Derek Carr has a hand injury. He did not practice. He's not playing. Tight end Juwan Johnson has a knee injury. He was limited in practice. It's possible he does play. For Tampa Bay, Bucky Irving has been nursing a back and a shoulder injury, but this game is a must win, and I'm thinking that he will be in. Like Steph, who you got? Can the Saints upset the Buccaneers?
The Saints don't have a ton to play for in this game as they've already been eliminated from the playoff contention like weeks ago. While the Buccaneers will be playing for their fourth consecutive straight. Yeah, let me stop. The Buccaneers will be playing for their 4th straight division championship. Saints running back Alvin Kamara is out with a groin, and Saints quarterback, a.k.a. the Mojo King's favorite quarterback in the whole wide world, Derek Carr, is going to be out with a hand. injury, and running back Kendra Miller, concussion, did not practice the other day. The other day meaning Wednesday. Yeah. According to Adam Schefter of ESPN. Making things even more interesting is the fact that the Saints, if the Saints were somehow to pull off an upset and defeat Tampa Bay, yeah, all right, they'd be opening the door for their bitter rival, the Atlanta Falcons, to take the NFC South, which is something they would never be normally inclined to do. I wonder how much my brother Low Fat feels knowing that his playoff chances hang in the balance at the hands of his arch rival, New Orleans Saints. I wonder if the Saints will definitely throw this game. It's nothing. It's a nothing game, and the loss will actually help the draft positioning. Now the Bucs, this year, the Bucs are 5-2 when Mike Evans scores a touchdown. The target for Evans when it comes to matching Jerry Rice is 85 yards. Baker Mayfield knows they all badly want Evans to have a shot at history. It would allow Evans to join receiving GOAT Jerry Rice as the only player in NFL history to record 11 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons. All that said, the Bucs are guaranteed not to take the Saints lightly, given how comfortable New Orleans have been in Tampa over the last 6 years. So New Orleans have won 5 of the last 6 games in Tampa with the average margin of victory 17 points in those 5 wins. Now, do I really think that the Bucs are not going to cover? They got history. They're going to be throwing, and the Saints have every reason to throw this game. So, Buccaneers minus 13.5. Yeah, why not? Over under 43.5. I'm going to go under because I don't think the Saints are going to score, and the Bucs can win 14-0 and still cover.
My take on this game is pretty simple. New Orleans is 1-4 in their last 5. Their only win coming 14-11 against the Giants. They've scored a total of 10 points in their last 2 games. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay is 5-1 in their last 6. They're averaging 33 points over their last 5 games, and their offense is ranked 3rd overall. Tampa is going to rip them to shreds. The only question is, will the Saints score enough to take the over at 43.5 points? But either way, I like Tampa even with 13.5 points. And I'm going to go over because I really think Tampa is going to lay it on them.
In the Motor City, the 14-2 Minnesota Vikings are going against the 14-2 Detroit Lions. Not only for the NFC North divisional crown, but for home field and top seed in the whole NFC playoffs. Led by the Vikings and the Lions, both 14-2, the NFC North is set to be the winningest division since the NFL realigned to 8 divisions of 4 teams each in 2002, with 43 wins for the 4 division teams with 2 head-to-head games remaining. The Week 18 showdown between the Lions and the Vikings will feature the first matchup ever in the regular season between teams with at least 14 wins. There's never been a wild card team with at least 14 wins. The previous high coming in 1999 when the Tennessee Titans went 13-3 and lost the AFC Central Division crown to the Jacksonville Jaguars. If Detroit has to hit the road to start the playoffs, the Lions will at least have comfort in knowing that they're 8-0 on the road. So, shoot, that's crazy. They're 6-2 at home and 8-0 on the road. They were the 10th team to go 8-0 or better on the road, with 3 of the previous 9 winning the Super Bowl. So, Detroit is favored by 3 points. The over-under is 56.5. Do I trust Jared Goff or do I trust Sam Darnold? Do I trust the Arsenal on Detroit or do I trust Justin Jefferson and them boys? Do I trust Brian Flores and his defensive scheme or do I trust Aaron Glenn and continuing to make magic over the mash unit that has been the Detroit defense? Well, I'm going to go with my heart. Aaron Glenn, former Jet, Sam Darnold, former Jet. One had success, one didn't. So, Detroit, -3. That over-under, 56.5 is a lot of points. And I'm tempted to go over, but the safe bet would be under. So, once again, Detroit, -3. Yes, I'll take that. The over-under, 56.5, I will be going under.
This is two of the elite teams. Whoever wins this game will have a huge advantage going into the playoffs. This game is crucial. Whoever wins this will get the number 1 seed in the playoffs. The loser will slide in at number 5. They're going to have to go on the road in the first round, despite their elite record. And everybody seems to be completely convinced that the Lions are going to win this game. Since I am always a contrarian, I will take the Vikings plus the 3. In truth, what I'm really doing here is I think this game is a complete pick'em. It could be a flip either way. Anybody that was going to be a 3-point favorite, I would go against them just because I think it's going to come down right to the end regardless. As for that 55.5, that is an elite amount of scoring. I feel like the defenses may come up a little bit strong in this game that's going to be really tight. So I'm going to go with the Vikings +3 and the under. Lastly, I almost had Mike Steph send us home, but before that, real quickly, let's talk Survivor. These past few weeks, the favorites have really been dominating. There have been very few upsets. Last week was another week like that, except there was one upset, and it seemed to catch a pretty decent amount of people. The Indianapolis Colts lost, and in at least one league I was in, it took down almost 30% of the entries still alive. As I've been saying pretty much all season, Week 18 is a true wild card. You never know if the starters are going to play, how long they're going to play, how much the teams care or don't care about this week. With that said, there are some huge point spreads. Green Bay at home is a 10.5 point favorite over Chicago. Atlanta is a 7.5 point favorite over Carolina. We talked about that game. The Tampa Bay game we just talked about, 14-point favorites over New Orleans. Washington on the road is 6.5 point favorite over Dallas. Denver is a 10.5 point favorite against Kansas City. We talked about that game yesterday. And the final two I have listed are the Los Angeles Chargers, 4-point favorites on the road against the Raiders. And meanwhile, the Seattle Seahawks are 6.5 point favorites over the Los Angeles Rams, who are going to sit some of their starters. I don't know about you. I don't have the gumption to take the Seahawks. I don't care how much a favorite they are. Right now, I have 3 teams still surviving. 1 is with Green Bay. 2 is with Atlanta. As I said before, I expect Carolina to cover that spread. So I'm a little nervous there. I might pull one team away from Atlanta. I'm leaning towards the Chargers, but I got to think about it. If you're still surviving, good luck. You just got to get through this Sunday. All right, that's enough of me rambling. Mike, Steph, take us home.
Well, people, that brings us to the end of another edition of Hidden Gems Football. I, along with the Mojo King, would like to thank each and every one of y'all for making us the football podcast y'all choose to view and the football podcast y'all choose to listen to. Next week, we'll be ready to go for the beginning of the NFL playoffs, both the AFC and the NFC, the wildcard games. One of the best weekends of the year. So, and one last thing, because this is something that I haven't had a chance to do, like ever. Check out my podcast, Talk to Door to Mike Step Podcast, available on the following platforms: the audio version, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music, amongst others. New episodes, the audio version, drop each and every Thursday. Please check me out on all the social medias. Even though I need to delete this, Mike Stephen __ X, formerly known as Twitter. Yeah, I gotta get off that. So probably just try to find me on Blue Sky. Check me out at Mike __ Steph on the gram, and check me out on TikTok because I am the TikTok king at Mike Steph single _. Cash at me some money at $ Donnie Mike, and of course check out my blog MikeSteph.org.wordpress.com. I don't know. I'm such a stinker, ain't I? Well, anyway, with all that being said, let's get out of here. Hidden Gems Football. Matter of fact, hold on 1 minute. See, two can play at this game. You know what my daughter received on New Year's? Yes, a rubber ducky. Anyway, Hidden Gems Football. If in a part of the 19 Media Group. Goodbye.
Yo, man, why didn't you remind me about the ticker? Yeah, he doesn't know either.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
We got to talk about the Atlanta Falcons. Rise up. Rise. Yeah, Mo. I'm counting on you to edit that shit seamlessly. We got to talk about the New Orleans Saints. The Saints come marching in. With the Saints come marching in. Oh, won't you be my number? And then the Saints come marching in. I know the next opportunity Mo's going to see me, he's going to strangle the hell out of me because his finger's going to be giving him carpal tunnel with all the editing he's going to be doing.